Hey everyone, I'm Bill Anderson, and as you can see, we're not in the Pulse studio. There's some changes are coming to the station, some work's being done down there, but it's a great opportunity to look back on some of the amazing guests who have been on with us. Some of the best comedians in the world sat down with us and shared their stories and how things impacted them and society in numerous ways. So let's start with Cedric the Entertainer and how he views his role in pop culture. This is the Pulse Comedian Special. You're doing the circuit, you get onto TV, you're having success throughout your career. And so there's a lot of different steps to talk about. And then the original Kings of Comedy. And the reason that was such a big thing, at least for me, when I first saw it in all the headlines, was you guys kind of took ownership of your own career. You're one of the first to do that, right? You guys put this together, you controlled the money, that kind of thing.
Yeah. We had a partner that was the promoter, and he was the fifth member of the Beatles, if you will, right? So, but that's the way we did it. He was a young guy out of North Carolina. He put together the tour, and yet we owned the material. We owned who we were. We were all these individual kind of stars that came together as one super group, and that was rare. I mean, we had the model was based off of Super Fest, which was the concerts where, like Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder would be there. Because we were all individuals, we had to kind of figure out how to operate. And so we started to operate as a super group, as one big thing that went together. And so, all of the guys, we had control of the rights to the film. We had control of, what we made on the stage. And so that's how we end up having the most success.
Were y'all cool like that?
No, I mean, of course, me and Harv, we locked in. We was, because we were doing the Steve Harvey show at the time, and we'd come up. He had a comedy club in Dallas where he kind of first saw me and put me in the spotlights, and so Harv was my guy. And then me and DL became partners because he was the first host of Comic View. And so when I came in, he handed me the baton and we did a tour together. And so then we became locked in. And B-Mac was always everybody's favorite dude. And so, as the tour grew, we all grew. I think that at the end of the tour, of course, when money came into play, that's why we never was able to do it again. It's like people kind of got to their individual corners and just kind of did their own thing, except, again, and it was hard to get those guys to those alpha males to lock in and understand that it was about the business,
Right. But the first time when the checks start coming in, oh, okay, this is not bad. Sellout tours.
That was a whole nother lifestyle. That was private jets and everybody had suites and it was boss life, man. That Kings of Comedy was something else.
When we watched Barbershop, I think everybody who's ever been in a black barbershop I certainly have, saw the character and went, man, there's nothing offensive about that. Every barbershop's got that guy who's sitting in there going off on his own tangent and belief system, and I know what's going on. But there were some people who were upset about you playing that role in Barbershop.
Man, that was one of the first times in my career that I really ran up on true contentious energy, like that opposite side. And I could imagine if I lived in the day of the internet, if it was Twitter and all that stuff, I might have got canceled. A lot of the large civil rights leaders called me. They were very upset about it. Of course, producers, we had different producers on the movie. It was a great deal of contention on what should be said and why. And, and kind of to your point, my thing was this character was a guy that was his job in the barbershop. He was older. He had his own belief system. And like most of our aunts and grandmothers and people we know, once they get over a certain age, dog, they not biting their tongue, man. They gonna say what they gonna say, and you just gonna have to deal with it, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's what you find endearing about them. If you do anything short of that, then you don't capture exactly who this guy is, and that's all I was doing.
And I said, you didn't come up in the States for the call. You made a practice.
And made it funny without it being nasty. You know what I mean? That's why, in the early 90s, you had to be creative how you could say something that you could say on television. So that was my way of talking about getting that booty, but you got to make the booty call. Like it literally, and bam, as soon as I said it, everybody starts saying it because it's true.
That's this generation's text message. Like, you up?
Mm-hmm.
That's where that is now.
See, they swipe it to the left, to the right. We was really calling.
That almost didn't happen because the whole joke and that whole thing, that night when you were performing, they tried to pull you off stage.
Wow, that one move would have kind of changed the trajectory of my career because the joke that I was going to do, which was Booty Call, was brand new. And that night they were trying to bump me off the show because Charlie Barnett was on stage and he was literally killing. And it was like, we're going to let him close the show because, you know, this guy, he just totally did such a great job. And I was backstage waiting to go on. I was like, dog, I don't care. Like, just let me do my thing, man. I got something. And he was like, nah, B, it don't make sense. And I was like, dog, look, I came all the way from Jersey, bro, on everything, bro. My car probably gone. I double parked. I got to do this joke. And he, you know, shout out to Andre Brown, you know, he let me go on stage anyway. And HBO was in the building and the rest is history.
Are you ever surprised how willing people are to come up on stage and get clowned?
It blows my mind. And I get disabled people, pregnant people, couples. Like, you never know what you're going to get. And I love it. It's like an equal opportunity offense. And for some reason, people love being a center of attention, even when there's a target on their back. With
so many stories of success and all the different people you've roasted and, you know, doing the TV shows and the ones that have all gone viral, the one with the inmates, everyone talking about all the fun things that you've done. Was there ever anybody who didn't respond well?
I'm very careful, Bill, to vet, to make sure people volunteer. Like with roasting, you want them in on it. Consent is the most important part of it. It's fun when they're in on it, when they want it, when they're like, bring it, Jeff, you know, go hard and roast me. And that part of it, when they're in on it, it lights it up because then they're laughing too. So as far as people not digging it, not getting it, that doesn't really happen because I work too hard to make sure that they're down. And by the way, they get a rebuttal at the end of the roast. So they're earning their hits. They're taking those hits, then earning that rebuttal, that comeback at the end, which for most roasts, I remember Joan Rivers, her rebuttal was the funniest thing on the whole show. She schooled everybody, you know. Then you have other people I roasted like Flava Flav, who was having so much fun. He was just kicking his feet up and laughing the whole time. And Justin Bieber, he was the one person who called me. It was his idea to get roasted. People have been talking about the great Bruce Willis a lot lately. And when I roasted Bruce a few years back, he would call me for the month leading up to the roast every day, every other day with some new thing that he thought I should mention. He's like, don't forget, I stutter. Don't forget that, you know, about this bomb movie I made in the 80s. You know, he's like, Jeff, you know, we're both Jersey boys. If you go easy on me, my friends are going to never let me live it down. And if somebody's so made, you know, like Bruce Willis, like what, you know, he's just going like this afterwards. Those jokes don't hurt, especially when you go back to your private jet, your big mansion.
Welcome back to our Pulse Comedian Special. A comedian's role is to make us laugh, but also to make us think. And next up, Michael Rappaport and Sarah Silverman, they shared how quickly things can get serious when you take on real issues. I was just watching video of you hosting The Daily Show. And this collage of conservatives, how you kind of introduced yourself. Here's what they think of me. Is that hard when you're on that type of radar, when those type of people are swinging at you?
I really have learned not to take it on I mean, the good and the bad you have to like really work on, I think, as a grown-up adult, to not have your self-worth be impacted positively or negatively by outside forces, Okay. I don't know them. They don't know me, but also I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm very comfortable with that. I'm just a schmo on the, on the internet or wherever you see me, or, I'm just a person, but I feel like I can model what it can look like to be accountable for stuff, or to, that's not why I did it. I did it just earnestly, but or be sorry for things. I don't believe in apologizing if you're not sorry, but I believe in apologizing if you're sorry. And I see such a very deep fear around being sorry in adults, grown-ups, and people I know, people I love, figures in the world. And I find it's just so curious what you think you lose from being sorry about something or taking accountability about something. For me, it's so freeing. It just is. I forgive myself, and you can forgive me or not, or you know what I mean? It really doesn't have to be so scary.
You have, over the last 8 years, gotten deeper into politics, political statements, comedy and otherwise.
I think we're supposed to take care of each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I have a bag of skills, and I can use them to help sometimes, or from other people's perspective, hurt. I don't know. It depends, but, and sometimes it's offensive to people. And sometimes, I made a video like, sell the Vatican, feed the world, and some people loved it, some people hated it.
You don't have a problem taking the big swing and addressing the big issue.
I've always had a mouth. I've always had opinions. I've always had a lot of energy. I've always asked questions. I've always been sort of, disruptive. I've always naturally went against the grain with certain things. And I'm also, like to, I don't think, like when I take the big swings, like you reference, a lot of times in the things that I say and the things that I do on social media, a lot of times the humor that I'm trying to get across gets missed because people get frustrated with the topic. But I always try to give a little wink, no matter what it is, unless it's something very, very, very serious. And I don't think that's appropriate. But even in relatively serious things, I like to, there's always a wink in there if you pay attention.
You're the guy now who in some ways is, I don't know if I go all the way to influencing politics, but involved in politics and having these strong statements. Do you embrace that?
I just feel like, you get to a certain age and, the last administration, the Trump administration, for me, that's what, I had to say something because I felt like, a lot of wool was being pulled over the eyes of people. And I didn't like the rhetoric, and I didn't like the name calling and the bullying. And I think the bullying and all that stuff is I don't think it's appropriate for a president to do that. Leave that to the comedians, leave that to everybody else but the president.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too far into the issues, but that is kind of embracing that whole big swing thing. Because when you start using that voice to do that and you're multi-million followers, like it puts you into a different realm, both with people who love you and people who passionately come at you. Were you prepared for all that?
I mean, I don't know if I was necessarily prepared. Online, people will say some really crazy things, and the anti-Jewish and the racist stuff. Like the fact that people are so comfortable talking about that in a public forum, that's the thing that trips me out the most.
Now, sometimes comedy is not only a way for us to cope with tough times, but it's also a way for the comedians themselves to find strength. Tig Notaro and Tracy Morgan told us about their very personal stories of strength through comedy.
And then I had a very big moment in 2012 when I had cancer and my mother had died. I had an intestinal disease. I had pneumonia. My girlfriend and I broke up. It was all in 4 months, and I did that. I talked about it on stage.
Like, why did you decide to be that open?
I had just watched my mother die unexpectedly, and I had 3 potentially deadly illnesses simultaneously, and I didn't know what my outcome was going to be. And I knew that this was going to be the last show I was going to do before I went away and had surgery and got treatment, and just took some downtime to recover emotionally from everything I'd just been through. And so I thought I would love stand-up, like we just discussed. It's my first love, and so I was going to miss it, and I wanted to do another show before I went away and healed.
In 2012, you walked on, I have it written down, you walked on stage and said, "Hello, good evening, I have cancer." Mm-hmm. And that's what started that.
I had come up with that opening line of, "Hello, good evening, I have cancer. How are you doing tonight?" I came up with that in my shower that night before I walked on stage, and I was maniacally laughing, thinking, oh my God, that is the craziest intro. And then I thought, I have to do it, especially because I'm laughing this hard about it. And then I had this fear of, oh gosh, what if I offend people? What if somebody in the audience has cancer? And then I was like, oh wait, I have cancer. Yeah, this is my story.
Why do you think it resonated with people so much?
It reminds me of reality shows, how people like to watch things as they're going down, dramatic unfolding of events, and you're a fly on the wall. I think that there's something appealing about that. I also think that the material touched on so many things that people relate to, and everyone knows somebody that's been touched by cancer, love, loss of a loved one, a parent, a romantic breakup. There was so much in there that people could connect with.
Did you believe that it could ascend to this level of success?
No, no way, man, no way. No one ever sees this, not even you. Where you at? We don't see this coming. But what keeps us humble is that we don't forget where we come from. That's what I have been through. That's what I do know, what I've been through, the past. Mm-hmm. I know about welfare. I know about food stamps. I know about all of that stuff. You see the movie Claudine? That was my life.
Yeah.
Welfare people coming to the house as hot. My father having to hide in the. I've been through that. That's what keeps me humble. Just never forgetting where I've come from. And what people say that comedy is a form of therapy. No, it's not. I love comedy. Comedy is fun to me. When I need the reminded therapy about where I come from, I just go back to my old neighborhood. Remember, that's where I could end up back if I don't check myself before I wreck myself. So I stay on point about everything. My family comes first. My kids come first. My kids come first.
What was interesting about that to me, and sharing that story, and you talk about the movie that was your life, and you do a lot of...
Well, I like to say it's not a story, but a testimony.
Right. But you share it. You share that testimony, you talk to people about, you make them laugh. But I know
I couldn't have made it without God. I never would have made it without God in my life. I never would have made it. I'd have been going a long time ago. It would have never got to this point. Somebody's looking out for me. I was born and raised in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. You know, Bed-Stuy, do or die, take the girl, kill the guy. I was there. A lot of my friends was murderers. I just thank the Lord I've survived that and I didn't go down that route. I had comedy. Just like my father with the Vietnam. Music is what saved my dad. Comedy is what saved me.
Thanks so much for watching. We should be back in the studio next time with a brand new episode of The Pulse. But until then, you can always check out some of our other episodes on both YouTube and all places podcasts are available. And until then, I leave you as I always do, reminding you that whenever you can, use your voice for good and have a good one.